Miguel Andújar, a forgotten star? No, his story is just beginning. Today on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily podcast on the Athletics, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I am your host, Booney. One name, all passion. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. I am from the Bay Area, and I've been a die-hard A's fan since 1981. This isn't just another A's podcast. This is the most informative and insightful show on the A's, period. We cover the A's every single day. We break down games. We deliver the latest team news, and we give you deep, thoughtful analysis you will not find anywhere else. If it's happening in Sacramento or in Las Vegas, we've got you covered. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. And please hit that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. You could find us on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, at Locked On A's. Shoot us a follow. Today is Wednesday, March 5th, and the A's are 11 games into spring training, 19 more games, and then we lace them up for real. Considering the day off they have today, I'm going to give you my top 3 surprises of the spring so far: the good, the bad, the in-between. That's later. We have talked about Elvis Alvarado in the past, just like we have talked about practically every single A's player at one point or another. But in yesterday's game, A's announcer Ken Korak said something interesting that backed up a point I made on yesterday's show about Alvarado. That's just in a little bit. First, there was a time when Miguel Andújar was the name on everyone's lips, the next golden star in a long line of Yankee legends. His swing was poetry in motion, his bat a weapon of precision and power. In 2018, the baseball world in awe as this young phenom lit up the Bronx, driving in runs and hope with equal measure. That year, Andujar finished second in Rookie of the Year voting, losing only to Shohei Ohtani, a generational talent who has since become a household name. Andujar's future seemed limitless, but baseball, like life, can be cruelly unpredictable. Today, Miguel Andujar's name is a whisper, not a roar. The once promising star has been sidelined by injuries, his career path detoured by relentless grind of surgeries, setbacks, and the unforgiving march of time. The Yankee pinstripes he once wore with pride became a distant memory as his role diminished and his opportunities dwindled. For many, he became another chapter in the book of what could have been. But for those paying close attention, for those who still believe in the resilience of the human spirit and the power of a comeback, Miguel Andújar's story is far from over, kind of like a star dimmed but not yet quite extinguished. It's easy to forget just how electric Andujar was during that magical 2018 season. He hit .297 with 27 home runs and 92 RBIs, leading all rookies in extra base hits and doubles. That includes Shohei Ohtani. His bat was a spark that ignited the Yankees' offense night after night. Fans adored him. Analysts praised him. He wasn't just good, he was special. But then came the injuries. A torn labrum in his shoulder cost him nearly all of 2019. The Yankees moved on, as teams often do in their quest for immediate success. Gio Urshela emerged as a reliable third baseman, which is quite ironic. And Andujar found himself without a position, without a role, and without the spotlight he once commanded. The years that followed were a blur of minor league assignments, sporadic call-ups, and fleeting opportunities. Andujar bounced between AAA and the majors, trying to prove he still belonged. He showed flashes of his former brilliance, but never had the chance to sustain it. Baseball is a game of rhythm and consistency, and Andujar was denied both. Last summer, when the Athletics played their best baseball in July and August, Miguel Andújar was quietly making his presence felt, batting second or fourth in the lineup. He reminded anyone paying attention why he was considered a cornerstone player. His bat came alive, his confidence seemed to return until another injury sidelined him once again. It was a cruel twist of fate for a player who had already endured so much. But if there's one thing Miguel Andújar has proven over the years, it's that he doesn't quit, he doesn't fold, he doesn't give up. For most players, spring training is to tune up your skills, get ready for the grind of 162. Not Andujar. This spring is the dawn of redemption. The air is crisp with possibility, the field's alive with the sounds of gloves popping and the bats cracking. And there's Miguel Andújar stepping into the batter's box with purpose. If spring training is any indication of what's to come, then perhaps, just perhaps, the baseball world is about to witness one of the most inspiring comebacks in recent memory. Through his first several games of spring training, Andujar has been nothing short of spectacular. He's hitting .467 with 2 home runs and has struck out only once. His swing looks as smooth as ever, his approach disciplined and focused. More importantly, his mindset seems to be in the right place. For a player who has endured so much adversity, that mental edge could make all the difference. Baseball is a game of numbers, but also a game of stories. It's about triumphs and heartbreaks, about rising and falling. And yes, rising again. Miguel Andújar's story is one that deserves to be told and believed in. It's easy to root for a player like Andujar because he embodies everything we love about sports: resilience, determination, and an unyielding belief in himself. He's not just fighting for his career, he's fighting for his dream. And in doing so, he reminds us all that it's never too late to rewrite your narrative. The road back to stardom won't be easy, it never is. But if anyone has the talent and tenacity to make it happen, yeah, it's Miguel Andújar. He's been knocked down before, but he keeps getting back up. And now he steps into this new chapter of his career. One can't help but feel that something special is on the horizon. Miguel Andújar may have been forgotten by many, but he hasn't forgotten who he is or what he's capable of. As the 2025 season approaches, keep an eye on this once can't-miss star. He may no longer wear Yankee pinstripes or command national headlines, but he has something even more powerful, a chance to remind the world that greatness isn't always linear. Sometimes the best stories are the ones we didn't see coming, the tales of redemption that make us believe in second chances and the unrelenting power of hope. Miguel Andújar's story isn't finished yet. In fact, it might just be getting started. And when he steps up to the plate this season, don't bet against him, because Miguel Andújar has something to prove, not just to baseball fans or critics, but to himself. That makes him dangerous. Very, very dangerous. This episode is brought to you in part by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they are packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they are always my go to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in shell options are a classic favorite. The fact that Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein providing all 9 essential amino acids, how these little green wonders pack a protein punch. No shells, Wonderful Pistachios for that grab and go ease. The satisfying crack of opening each shell, it's like snack meditation. Whether you are running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. If you tuned in to yesterday's show, as I was reviewing the bullpen competitions in spring training, I talked about Elvis Alvarado making his spring training debut on Monday. And in his 1 inning of work was absolutely electric, facing 3 batters and striking out 2. He was no doubt impressive. And this was not the first time I had talked about Elvis Alvarado. I talked about him in our spring training preview show as he was part of the 40-man roster, a waiver pickup from the Pittsburgh Pirates with electric type of stuff, but zero command. Comparison to Joe Boyle, who we traded away for Jeffrey Springs. Since then, I have literally heard zero about Alvarado until he pitched on Monday. Now, I knew the A's picked Alvarado up off waivers on January 30th when the Pirates waived him, like I mentioned. The A's are his 6th team. He originally signed with the Nationals from the Dominican. And to be honest, I was surprised to see him on the 40-man roster. Through 9 games into the spring, there was no sighting of Elvis until Monday, where his outing, yes, again, surprised me. So what's your point, Boney? When I was listening to the game yesterday, A's announcer Ken Korak mentioned Alvarado's debut and how impressive it was. Korak actually talked to Mark Kotsay about Alvarado, and Kotsay said he expects Alvarado to make the opening day roster, which was very surprising with that being said. I have decided to take a deeper look into the curious case of Elvis Alvarado. From waivers to wow. Baseball is a game of second chances, third chances, and sometimes even 6 chances. Enter Elvis Alvarado, the 6'4" right-hander who has danced through more organizations than a journeyman jazz musician. If you've never heard of him before Monday, don't worry, you're not alone. But after 1 electric inning in spring training, Alvarado has suddenly gone from an afterthought to a potential opening day roster spot with the A's. And if that doesn't scream baseball magic, I don't know what does. Let's rewind for a moment. Alvarado's story isn't your typical rags to riches baseball narrative, at least not yet. Signed by the Nationals out of the Dominican Republic, he spent the better part of his career bouncing between systems like a pinball. Nationals, Mariners, Tigers, Marlins, Pirates, and now the A's. 6 organizations in 6 years? That's the kind of resume that usually lands you in the organizational depth category, not on a 40-man roster in spring training. And yet here we are. When the A's picked up Alvarado off waivers from the Pirates back in January, it barely made a ripple. Waiver claims in January are like New Year's resolutions. Most people forget about them by February. But then came Monday, 1 inning, 3 batters, 2 strikeouts, and suddenly Everybody was asking, who is this guy? The answer? He's a riddle wrapped in a slider. Alvarado's minor league numbers are a mix of brilliance and frustration. In 2022, he put up a sparkling 2.72 ERA across 3 levels in the Tigers system, allowing just 3 home runs in nearly 60 innings. But then came 2023, a season marred by injuries and inconsistency. His ERA ballooned to 5.18 in high A, and his command issues were reared with their ugly head. Walks have always been Alvarado's Achilles heel, and when you're hitting batters and missing the strike zone, it's hard to make a case for yourself. Still, there's something undeniably tantalizing about Alvarado's arm. His sinker touches triple digits, and his slider can make hitters look silly when he can locate it. He proved as much in the Dominican Winter League, throwing 12 2/3 scoreless innings with 10 strikeouts. It was enough to catch the Marlins' attention. Though his brief stint in the big leagues was less than stellar, a 5.68 ERA over 19 innings with a pedestrian strikeout rate of 13.4%, not exactly the stuff of legends, but here's where it gets interesting. Despite his struggles, Alvarado has always had one thing working in his favor: potential. The A's aren't blind to that. They saw his 2024 AAA numbers, a 2.79 ERA with a jaw-dropping 32.4% strikeout rate, and the A's decided to take a gamble. Sure, he's walked 18% of the batters he's faced, but you can't teach velocity or swing and miss stuff, and Alvarado has both in spades. When A's manager Mark Kotsay went on record saying he expects Alvarado to make the opening day roster, it raised more than a few eyebrows. After all, this is a guy who didn't even pitch in a spring training game until 9 days in. But Kotsay sees something others might overlook: a high risk, high reward arm that could thrive in the right environment. It's not hard to see why the A's are intrigued. They traded away Joe Boyle, a very similar, dominant, but wild pitcher. If Alvarado can harness his stuff just enough to keep hitters guessing, he could be a game changer for an A's bullpen that is already very, very good. Alvarado could make them even better. Of course, that's a big if. Command has always been Alvarado's white whale, and even the most optimistic projections come with an asterisk. But baseball is a game of adjustments, and if there's one thing Alvarado has proven over his winding journey through 6 organizations, is that he knows how to adapt. So, what should we expect from Elvis Alvarado this season? Honestly, it's anybody's guess. He could flame out by May or become one of the best under the radar pickups this year. Either way, he's worth watching, only because stories like his remind us why we love this game in the first place. After all, baseball just isn't about stats and scouting and reports. It's about the players who defy expectations and force us to rethink what we thought we knew. Elvis Alvarado may not be a household name, but give him time. If Monday was any indication, he might just be getting started. And who knows? By October, we might all be singing his praises, or at least humming along to his tune. Elvis Alvarado has definitely been a surprise. And speaking of surprises, spring training is always full of surprises. And through 11 games, the A's have already given us plenty to talk about, both good and bad. Here are my top 3 takeaways from spring training so far. Number 3, Lawrence Butler's explosive start. Coming into this season, expectations for Lawrence Butler were sky high. I've been vocal about my belief that Butler has MVP level potential. But even I didn't see this coming. In just 6 games, Butler has gone 9 for 16 with 2 bombs, a double, 5 ribbies, 5 runs scored, and an eye-popping 563 batting average. Those numbers are the stuff of legends, Babe Ruth level dominance. While it's still early, Butler's torrid start is an exciting glimpse of what could be a breakout year for the young star. Number 2, Seth Brown's slow start. On the flip side, Seth Brown's spring has been a disappointing surprise. After a strong second half last season and signing a one-year deal in the offseason, Brown was expected to carry some of that momentum into spring training. Instead, he struggled mightily at the plate, going just 2 of 17 with a 118 batting average and 6 Ks. Brown is a proven veteran and will undoubtedly be on the opening day roster. But the A's need his bat to heat up if they hope to compete this season. And number 1, Tyler Soderstrom's offensive struggles. Perhaps the most concerning surprise so far has been Tyler Soderstrom's lack of production at the plate. The plan to use him as both a backup catcher to Shea Langoliers and an everyday first baseman is ambitious and critical to the team's success. However, after a promising RBI single in his first at-bat this spring, he has gone 1 of 14 since. This spring, Soderstrom has gone ice cold, managing just 2 hits and 15 at-bats for a 133 average. For someone expected to be a middle-of-the-lineup presence, these struggles are alarming. There's still time for Soderstrom to turn it around, but the clock is ticking. Spring training may not count in the standings, but it matters when evaluating players and setting expectations. While Butler's red-hot start is a reason for optimism, Brown and Soderstrom struggles are glaring issues that need addressing before opening day. Let's hope these surprises lead to positive developments as we inch closer to the regular season. The A's are back in action tomorrow, 5:15, when they face off against the Milwaukee Brewers. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast with host Dominic Martino and Matthew Onai. MLB fantasy draft season is here. Be the most informed fan and set yourself up for a league win. Find Locked On Fantasy on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I will see you all tomorrow. Take it easy, guys.